All right, so I've got a tiny agenda, but I've got lots of space for other stuff. Does anybody have requests?
Foot stretching, please.
Foot? You got it.
Yeah.
Hips? Hips, sure thing.
Could we do some twists?
Yep.
Could we do that crazy calf raise?
Yeah, we can. I've got an even better one than that too. Well, we'll do that one. That's a good one because it doesn't take props. Anything else coming to mind for anybody? We're all good with that? All right, well, let's start with some breathing. So whether you're using bolsters or blocks, take your pick. We're going to come down over the bolsters or the blocks, really thinking about keeping your spine nice and long, thinking about remaining equal distance from hips to armpits. Some of us have a tendency to shorten on one side or the other. Then once you arrive over your bolsters, blocks, or floor, soles of the feet are going to clap, knees are going to come apart, arms are going to be out beside us, palms facing up. Really think neutral pelvis, so moving the flesh of the butt away from the low back. Pushing into your elbows and lengthening the back rib cage away from the pelvis. Relax your shoulders over the bolster or the blocks. And then just looking for symmetry. Is the block or the bolster space so that the shoulders are evenly melting on either side. And then soles of the feet are going to clap. We're going to push the soles of the feet to one another. We're going to lengthen from inner groins to inner knees. And we're going to draw the outer knees down towards the floor. We're going to draw the outer knees back towards the outer trochanter area. And then think about where sort of your thighs meet your butt. You're going to slide your hand down, and it's kind of where your thighs start to hit the floor. Pull that area to one another. Think inner thighs moving towards the floor. Think outer thighs lifting away from the floor. Arms out beside you, halfway to a T. Rooting the elbows, the forearms, anything touching the floor, and lift the skin of the armpits, side ribs up towards the sky. Go to your sternum, that breastplate underneath your chin, slide it up towards your throat, and then feel like you could pull the ribs that are touching the sternum away from the sternum. Feel like you could lift your collarbones up, broaden your collarbones. Look for a nice neutral neck, so you've got a curve in your cervical spine, the back of your neck, but there's no wrinkles in the front, sides, or back of the neck. Make sure your ears are equal distance from your shoulders, and then make sure your gaze is straight up at the sky. We tend to look to the right, we tend to look to the left. See if you can look straight up. Again, remember you can relax a little bit at any point if that feels better for you. You can come off any height you need to come off if that feels better for you. As we start to find a nice belly breath. So with each inhale, feel the belly rising. And with each exhale, feel the belly gently falling. Inhale, belly rising. Exhale, belly falling. Use your elbows, come on. So look at your blocks. So if you're, you know what I mean? So, there you go, you're really, really close. So then you're gonna be able to feel if you're centered. Does that make sense? Right, so if you're like this, you're gonna be able to feel the block in relation to your head. You're just coming more on this side. Okay, so now feel your block. Are you centered on your block? Feel your head and feel your block. Feel your ears and yeah. So you know what I mean? Use it as tools. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Let's just count 5 more rounds of breath into our bellies. those 5 rounds of breath are complete, returning once again to your natural breathing. Just a little bit of energy behind this. Yeah, nice. Just right there is perfect. I'm gonna let you go in here and keep that. When those 5 rounds of breath are complete, sitting quietly with your natural breath, listen to your hips. You don't want to overdo it, so if you need to bring those knees together and take the feet apart, do. If you need props for support underneath your thighs and you don't have them, let me know. If you want to go deeper into the shoulders, just slide your elbows a little bit higher. To find the rib cage breath, it's really helpful to find Uddiyana Bandha, pulling your belly button in, down towards the pelvic floor and back up as you breathe into the back ribs, the side ribs, and the front ribs. With each inhale, feel your ribs expanding, and with each exhale, feel your ribs gently contracting. Inhale, ribs expanding, exhale, ribs contracting. Big, beautiful breaths. Without forcing, without agitation, let's take 5 more rounds of breath, just like that, right into our rib cage. Really thinking about the backs, the knees moving towards the kneecaps hugging back in, hip flexors moving towards the butt hugging hip flexors, crease the ankles towards the heels hug back onto the crease of the ankles. Elbow crease to elbow cap hugs back, armpits lift up into shoulders hug back onto the armpits, wrist crease moves from the fold to the curve hugs back onto the fold. Once those 5 breaths are complete, again, checking in with your body. What do you need? Maybe you need to swap the position, maybe you don't. As we start to bring the awareness up into the shoulders, belly button pulls in, down towards the pelvic floor and back up. Floating ribs come to one another, root the back rib cage into the back bolster as you breathe into the shoulders, the space between the shoulders, even breathing up into the trapezius muscles, the back of the neck. As you inhale, feel that space expanding down into the bolster, and as you exhale, feel that space lifting light off the bolster. And then once you find the breath in that back body, start to let it wrap around. First the back shoulders expand, then the armpit, chest, sternum, collarbones, and throat all expand and contract with every breath. Encouraging the left side of the chest to expand just as much as the right side. As we count 5 more rounds of breath, just like that, right into our upper chest and shoulders. Judy, tiny bit, just lift your chin a tiny, yeah, right there, you feel that difference? Yeah. Again, when those 5 breaths are complete, just sitting quietly with your natural breath. Really checking in, firing up your leg muscles, using your core muscles, maybe even using your arm muscles as we slowly draw those knees together. We can either go into snowplow, or if we know Virasana, we can do Virasana. As we move into snowplow, we want to try and keep our shins at a 90. We're going to look towards our knees, making sure our knees are level, making sure that our heels are equal distance from our pubic bone, and making sure we're still keeping that nice straight line. I like to root into my elbows and kind of lengthen one more time, lengthen the skull, lengthen the ribs, and then we're going to reach our arms up towards the sky. Right hand's going to take left elbow, left hand's going to take right elbow. We're going to do a couple shoulder push-ups here, taking the arm bones in and out of the shoulder sockets. And then find that place of extension, no tension, so you can shake your head for no, but you're taking your arms out of the body so that you don't have a big valley between your shoulder blades. And then visualize you've got balloons in your armpits and lift those balloons up into your armpits, but allow the shoulders to push back onto those balloons. Lift the crease of your elbows towards the elbow cap and use your hands to create that resistance. Think about an external rotation of the upper arm, so the skin of your inner arm is going up beside your ears, and the skin of your outer upper arm is going down towards your feet. Exhale to draw the arms towards the ribs. Inhale to take the arms up overhead without the ribs popping. So really thinking about that back rib cage rooting. Press into your feet. Pull your heels apart. Push the entire question mark of your foot down into the floor. And then when you're ready, arrive with your arms outside those ears, or close to it, wherever it gets to. Move your armpits into your shoulders and lift your shoulders up into your armpits. Move the elbow crease towards the elbow cap and hug back with your hands. Create that resistance. Visualize sandbags on your inner elbows and lift those sandbags up. Big exhale to empty, and then once you're empty, belly's gonna fill, ribs are gonna fill, chest is gonna fill, and then chest's gonna empty, ribs gonna empty, belly's gonna empty. So with this one, it's hands like this. Yeah, it's okay, doesn't matter. So, no. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Thank you. No worries. So feel the distance between your ears. Can you get more space for your neck? Yeah, there we go. Nice. So with you, it's lift this kind of, but don't lift it 10 out of 10. Does that make sense? Yeah. Good, nice. Just a little bit more from here. So beautiful waves of breath up and down the spine, no forcing, no agitation, no pausing. If this is agitating physically or mentally, you just take a break. You join back in with less effort. If you start to feel your shoulders too much, you hold onto your elbows, you bring your elbows back over the shoulders, and then you can release your arms beside you. If it tugs into your knees, bring your feet closer to one another. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side. Then when those 3 breaths are complete, we're going to hold onto those elbows. We're going to bring those arms back up and over. We're going to reach the fingers up towards the sky. We're going to swap the crossing so the left arm's in front of right. Do a few shoulder push-ups here to find that point of extension, no tension. Always able to shake your head for no. Always lots of room for the neck. Elbow crease to cap. Hand pushes back on the crease. Armpits lift up into shoulders, shoulders push back down onto those armpits. Think about the skin of the inner upper arm closest to your face, moving up towards your crown. Think about the outer upper arm closest to the wall, to your side, going down towards the floor. Keep the extension, no tension. Exhale to bring the arm bones down. Inhale to take the arm bones up. Really root the back rib cage down so there's no popping in the rib cage. Just opening and closing those arms. Really keeping the activity in the shoulders. Maybe you can find the hip flexors moving towards your butt moving towards your hip flexors. Maybe you can find the backs of the knees moving to the kneecaps, kneecaps hugging backs of the knees. Maybe you can find the crease of the ankle moving towards the heel, heel hugging the crease. The calves are moving towards the shins, the thighs are moving front to back, the femurs are pulling into the hip sockets. Arrive at a place that's comfortable to hold. Keep thinking of the joints hugging from crease to calf, so one pushes into the other. Think big, heavy sandbags on your elbows and lift those sandbags up a tiny, tiny millimeter. And then big old exhale to empty, and then once you're empty, waves of breath up and down the spine. Melting the shoulders away from the ears, front, back, and neck even in length, sides even in length. Let's go 3 more breaths here. Three more rounds of breath up and down the spine. And when those 3 more breaths are complete, you're going to bring your arms back over. You're going to release the arms beside you, palms facing up, letting the shoulders relax. We're going to heel, toe the feet to one another. If you're on height with the bolsters, you just roll off to one side. If you're on blocks, you push into your elbows to lift your head. You then push into your hands to lift your spine, nice and straight. You move your props to the side, and then let's come down onto our backs, one disc, one vertebra at a time. So knees together, ankles together, hands behind the thighs, make a nice C, and then come down one disc, one vertebra at a time, nice and slow. We're going to make sure you've got rim overhead so that you can go straight arms, and everybody's going to have a stick. We're going to take the foot, the block between our feet, and we're going to have it at the widest width. We're going to have a block between our thighs at the most narrow width. And then we're going to have our stick. We're going to keep the blocks. We're going to put the stick where our hip flexors are. We're going to pull the thighs in towards us, and we're just going to rock from side to side. You can have your hands on your shins. You can have your hands on your stick. Relax your shoulders. Now think about your inner heels dropping the block, outer heels squeezing the block. So first we're doing like hugging your legs, like wind remover. Yeah. So pull those legs in like a wind remover. Legs come to you. And just rock from side to side. So inner heels dropping the block, outer heels squeezing the block. Inner thighs dropping the block, outer thighs squeezing the block. See if you can do some circles. Think about the stick where your hip flexor is moving towards your butt. The butt's going to hug back onto that stick. Think about a stick at the backs of the knees moving towards your kneecaps, kneecaps hugging back onto that stick. You could even have your hands on the knees and really find that connection of the knees pushing into the crease pushing back into your hands. Change direction with your circles. Think about a crease at the ankles moving towards the heels hugging back onto that crease. Like there was a stick on the crease of your ankles and it was moving towards the heels hugging back. Front thigh to back thigh, calf to shin. Think about the hamstrings pulling towards the front of the thighs and sliding down towards your butt. Stop at the circles and we're going to finish off with just a little bit of pulsing. Trying to keep your ankles, your knees, and your hips in a nice straight line. If it's really uncomfortable for you to have the block between your thighs and you feel like you need a thinner block, just let me know at any point. Sometimes it works here with bent knees, but not with straight legs, so see how it goes. And then nice and slow, you're going to bring your feet down onto the floor. You're going to keep your knees as bent as you can. Have your stick at the hip flexors for now and really think neutral pelvis so you're not imprinting. And then just lift the knees and take the knees directly over the hips so that the thighs are at a 90-degree angle. And then you can take your stick and push your stick into your thighs, relax your shoulders, and then we're going to lift those ankles up just to a place that's comfortable, keeping the thighs at a 90. Root your elbows and push your stick into your thighs. Take the backs of the thighs and push it towards your stick. Slide the backs of the thighs down towards the butt. Shoulder heads to the floor. Armpits lift into the shoulders. Shoulders hug back onto the armpits. Elbow crease moves into the elbows. Elbows hug back onto the elbow crease. Wrist crease towards curve of the wrist. Curve of the wrist towards the crease. So nothing else changes. Really keep those joints nice and strong. You're going to drop your heels towards your butt. You're going to inhale to lift your heels up as high as you can without moving your thighs. Exhale to drop your heels towards your butt. Inhale to lift your heels up as high as you can without moving those thighs.
Michelle, I think we need a smaller block for.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
Yes, please.
That's why we have a plethora of blocks.
Take a small one.
You got it. Over here? Yeah, we got it. And thighs as opposed to knees, really close to the pubic bone. Anybody else? Did I hear another one over in this corner? You got it. Sorry, love, that was a bit of a hard throw. These ones are lighter. Anyone else? Thinner block? So this, I think that's not the more narrow one. Yeah, just see if you can find your feet, and you can do it without the blocks if it's too hard. But what we're trying to find here is those feet, right?
Yeah, okay. I don't think that we're making the waist too wide.
No, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
That's not the issue. Yeah, who said Michelle?
So when I come up, my legs
Yeah, it's okay. You could go more narrow if you wanted to. Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, that's the best, right? But most people have a harder time holding it that way, so we let them cheat a little bit, right? It's just easier with it wider. But if you want to make it harder, go for it, girl. Yeah, depends on the body type, right? Yeah. There's no one alignment. And then lift it up to as straight as it's comfortable to hold, right? So find a place that's comfy, but we're not losing the connections. Trying to keep those ankles, knees, and hips in a straight line. If it's intense, you just bend your knees and you put your feet on the floor. But bend your knees as much as you can and then put your feet on the floor. Let's straighten out those arms. Let's have the stick in our arms. The outer wrist is as wide as the outer shoulder. And we're going to do a couple shoulder push-ups here. Taking the fist to and from the floor. Just warming that up. And then finding a place of extension, no tension, so you can shake your head for no. Check out your elbows. Make sure you're not hyperextending into the elbows, but think of a little mini bend in the elbows, although they're still straight, especially if you know you're looser in those joints. Make sure you're straight. Make sure the distance from hips to armpits is even. Think about those connections we found of externally rotating the upper arm, so the inner skin of the arm is moving towards your ears. The outer skin of the upper arm is moving towards your butt. Really push into the base of the thumb and the index so that we're not externally rotating the lower arm, but we're thinking about almost internally rotating the lower arm. Exhale to take the stick towards your thighs or your knees. Inhale to take the stick towards the floor. We're looking for symmetry here, not depth. We're looking for no tension in the neck. Keeping a nice long neck, keeping your ears equal distance from your shoulders. Remember, anytime you need less, do less. Yeah, the tape is good. So you're going to move down your mat so that you can go straight arms. Yeah, and then come down your mat so you can go, yeah. So watch your necks, right? If you're, keep the shoulders relaxed, do a little bit less, go a little bit slower. Try and keep your arms straight. If you find you're bending your elbows, don't go to that place. Go to the place where you can keep the shape of the arms. And then come to a place where you can hang out with those arms. So remember, we can get off the bus wherever we need to get off the bus. Whether your arms are straight or whether your legs are straight, arms are straight, whatever, neck and shoulders are relaxed. See if you can exhale to take the legs away from you a little bit. See if you can inhale to bring the legs to you. They can be straight, they can be bent, they can be not moving at all if that's the option for you. But just nice and slow controlled movement. What matters here is that your arms aren't moving, your ribs aren't moving, and you're not changing your pelvis. See how slow you can go. I really think about big, heavy balls in my armpits. And then I think about my shoulders lifting back into those big, heavy balls. Just ditch it. Yeah, don't worry about it. So thighs moving to you, thighs moving away from you. The stick doesn't lie, so noticing if one hand is closer to the floor than the other. Your arms are even with it, it's nice. You're looking a tiny bit to the right though.
Yes.
Are you looking left? Are you looking right? So think of the sandbag in your armpit and think about this moving to the floor. Yeah, maybe grab something that's like a wall. It's such a great connection, you're just not getting it. So like that. Hug this ball, so straighten out your arms. Yeah, you feel that shape difference? There you go. So now move your armpits like they're heavy sandbags into my hands, and then my hands are pulling. You feel the difference in stability, right? Yeah. And shake your neck. Oh, right? So find it. I'm gonna let you go, you're gonna keep it. So don't think about the floor, think about lifting away from the floor. 2 more, and then you're gonna bend your knees as much as you can and put your feet on the floor. And then you're going to inhale to bring those arms up and over. Nice work, everybody. We're going to keep the blocks where they are, and we're going to do a little bridge. We're going to bring our arms in beside us. We're going to push into our fingers. We're going to push into our palms. And we're going to think big, heavy sandbags on those shoulder heads, and we're going to work those shoulder heads to the floor. We're going to lift our low back, our mid back, and our upper back. And then we're going to come down, upper back, mid back, low back. So we lift up low back, mid back, upper back, and then we come down upper back, mid back, low back. I want you to think about moving each disc individually. So I visualize my spine often as a pearl necklace, and I think of the pearls as the vertebras and the strings as the discs. And I want you to bring down one pearl, next pearl, next pearl, next pearl, next pearl. So you're getting movement in every single one of those strings. And you're going to notice that some of those strings are clumpy and they come down, right? So then spend a little time just going up and down, up and down, up and down in that spot where you know you're chunky and clumpy. We're lengthening the quads towards the knees. We're pulling the hamstrings back towards our butt. The flesh of the butt is moving away from the low back, and the middle of the butt is lifting up. Knee crease to kneecap, ankle crease to heel, hip flexor to butt. Floating ribs come to one another, back rib cage roots down, armpits to the sky, shoulder heads to the floor. Give me 3 more, and then come up to hold up. You're petite, so I'm gonna do that. Just squeeze it. Bring the feet down. Just because it, like her, because you're petite, right? That's a nicer fit. Inner thighs dropping the block, outer thighs squeezing the block. Inner heels dropping the block, outer heels squeezing the block. Then when you come up to hold up, stay up. See if you can get rid of the crease where the hip flexors are by moving the flesh of the butt away from the low back and lifting the middle of the butt and the hamstrings up towards the sky. Let's go 5 more breaths here. And then nice and slow, we're going to come down, 1 disc, 1 vertebra at a time. So we want our ankles, knees, and hips in a nice straight line. So if we need to adjust our blocks, we can, right? Not everybody's the same size. If you're a petite female, you want to maybe go a little bit more narrow with the block between your feet. And then we're going to do heel slides. Some of us can do heel slides 1 at a time, right? You can still keep the block between your thighs. It's just the block between the thighs will move a little bit, which is fine. Those of us that want to do heel slides 2 at a time, we're going to lift our block and we're going to slide the heels away from us 2 at a time. We're going to slide the heels away from us 2 at a time, right? Knees, ankles, hips, following that nice straight line. Shoulder heads are relaxed, armpits are lifting. If you're doing 1 heel slide at a time, then you're going to do the same on both sides, right? So you're counting maybe 4 or 5 on one side, maybe 4 or 5 on the other side. So we're just doing heel slides. What's that? Yeah. Especially because you're a knee knocker, right? Noticing if one hip is dropping more than the other. Yeah, and that's just scoliosis, but just so you can control it. Rest whenever you need to rest. You've got 1 more minute, so make sure we're evening out our sides. Does anyone find this super easy? It's really humbling, right? Because we're like, oh, heel slides, so easy. Not so much. And then once you've evened out your sides, you're going to bend your knees, you're going to ditch your blocks, and you're going to do 1 more little bridge without the blocks. So knees and feet are at hips distance apart, arms are beside you, push into your fingers, push into your palms, lift your lower back, your mid back, and your upper back as we come up into our little bridge. Really think flesh of butt away from the low back, middle of the butt up towards the sky. Skin of the armpits roots into the shoulders. Are we straight? Are we shortening? Do your own little checklist. I often like to lift my toes because there's nothing wrong with creating a connection to your toes, finding the feet muscles, finding the shin muscles. So come down. Don't you feel it? Yeah, and you can feel that's, what is that, tape, right? Yeah. Your torso is good, you lose it here. That's smart. Yeah.
I think I was a bit too thick a string.
Yeah, it's here where you start to lose it.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you feel your head, feel in relation to where this is, right? Yeah, there you go. You see it?
I think I moved when I was doing head lifts.
There you go. And then coming down one disc, one vertebra at a time, nice and slow. Good work. And then we're going to roll off to the right side. We're going to push ourselves up. So those of us, we've been playing with this a lot. If this is hard for us, then we're going to stick with the blocks between the thighs, okay? So narrow and wide, all right? And then we're going to do cat-cow like this. If we know that we can cross our legs really comfortably for that work we've been doing, it's knees together, feet together, lift your ankles, cross your right leg over your left leg, take your feet out, and we're going to do cat-cow like this. So either or, we know, right? If you don't know, ask me. So in order to nail this, we have to really find that connection of an upward dog foot where we're pushing the feet down and lifting the ankles up, right? And you can do that with the blocks or without the blocks. We want to push into our fingers and our palms. We want to make sure we do a couple of shoulder push-ups here. So we find extension, no tension. We can shake our head for no. Because remember, if those humerus bones are way into our body, we go into any type of back bend, it's gross on our necks, right? We want to have long necks and nice solid shoulders. When you find that, think externally rotating the upper arm, internally rotating the lower arm, little mini bend in the elbows, really pressing through the base of the thumb and the index, so it's not too much of this, it's not too much of that, but it's just right in the middle. Exhale to curl the spine, think angry kitty. Inhale, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up. Exhale to curl the spine, think angry kitty. Inhale, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up. And then just moving back and forth with your own breath. And then stopping with the back and forth. And let's do some hip circles here. If you're a wrist flipper, feel free to flip your wrists at any point. Always an option. When you flip your wrist, if you're doing both, make sure that the pinky wrist and the thumb wrist edge are level with the top of the mat. Remembering that when we're totally solid, we can get our forearms to a 90. The first way we flip is just fingers out to the side. And then we get our pinky wrist and our thumb wrist level with the side of the mat. And then once we do that for a while, we can go one wrist, other wrist, and we just track ourselves to make sure we're doing it evenly. Change direction with the circles. Nice neutral necks. So until you find your feet, you're better off with the other option. Feet not moving in either option, really focusing on the feet being totally still and supporting you. And then stopping with those circles, let's see if we can do some rib circles. Ribs to the floor, ribs to the right, ribs to the sky, ribs to the left. Ribs to the floor, ribs to the right, ribs to the sky, ribs to the left. We're keeping that extension, no tension in the arms, and we're moving the ribs. The shoulders are staying nice and stable. Change direction with your circles. Humbling, hey, the first time we do that, it's what ribs move where, what? And some of us, the head just goes. Again, only doing the head if that's appropriate for your neck. Next up, wouldn't do it. And stopping in center, flipping your hands back if you've flipped. If you've got two blocks, you can use the two blocks to come up. If you've got the blocks between your thighs, come up with the blocks between your thighs and your ankles. Eventually, we can bring our hands onto our hips, our elbows back, and get a nice old lift in our chest. So elbows pull in. Think sticks in your armpits, lifting up into your shoulders, shoulders hugging back into the armpits. Move the skin of the armpits forward, right? Think sticks in your elbows, moving towards your elbow crease. Wherever you're at, find your elbow sticks. Elbows hug back onto that crease. Wrist is moving from crease to cap is moving back. Think flesh of butt away from low back, middle of the butt forward, hip flexor stick moves back, butt moving forward, back of the knee stick to kneecap, push those hamstrings forward, slide the hamstrings back up to meet the butt. Find your ankle stick, move it towards your heels. See if you can get the hips equal distance from the top of the mat. Think outer trochanters come to one another. So outer trochanter are the head of the femur. This is your femur. The trochanter is what is in your hip socket. Go to the outer part and pull them in. I find it by going to where my sort of thigh meets my butt and I get a little indent. I think about those 2 points coming to one another. It creates anal sphincter contracting, and then you can draw that up. Zip, zip, zip your belly. Maybe you can interlace your fingers, right hand on top of left, and bring the hands to the back of the skull. Head roots into hands, hands roots into head. Forehead roots forward. Hug your armpits. Okay, so this is not what I'm looking for. I want to think shoulders wrapping the ball of the armpits. Find your elbow creases, find your finger creases. Maybe you can do forward circles with those elbows. Breathing. Big, beautiful breaths. And then change direction with the elbow circles. Keep injecting those hamstrings. That's a huge connection here to get those butts working. Beautiful breaths, everybody. And then stopping with the elbow circles, hug those elbows in a shoulder's distance. This is not a shoulder's distance. Find the outer shoulder, match it with the outer elbow, and lift, 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 lift. Lean the head back, root the forehead forward, hug those armpits, hug those elbows, hug those wrists, knees, hips, and ankles. Lift, 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 and then bring it through and down. Maybe use the blocks to come down, maybe you don't. Hands come down. Remember, you can untuck your legs anytime you want to. We're going to tuck our toes. We can do this with blocks or legs crossed. We're going to walk those hands forward, finding a nice puppy. And then some of us can move from puppy into our dogs. If our legs are crossed or our legs are not crossed, I want us to think of a mini bend in the knees either way. Lift those armpits up. Level out the hips. So puppy or dog, both are good. Toes are tucked. Bend your knees, Paul, and try and get the shoulders to straighten a bit. So if your legs are crossed and you're doing a puppy, see if you can do it with your toes tucked. Just a different stretch. If that feels like too much, go back to a pointed foot. And again, just finding a puppy with or without your blocks between your thighs is great. Think externally rotating the upper arm, internally rotating the lower arm, and move your hip flexors away from your wrists. Lift your rib cage up into your body. Zip your belly. See if you can lift your sit bones up, lengthen your pubic bone, and find a natural lumbar curve. Nice. But if we know we got lots of curve, don't overdo it. It's a nice curve, Laura. Can you level out your hips for me, Nicole? And look how straight you are on your beautiful line. But level out your hips now. Let's go 5 more breaths here. Heels vicing, thighs vicing. Pull those inner thighs apart. Find those outer trochanter's, pull them in. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, we're going to come down onto our knees. So those of us that are still crossed legs, some of us might have our feet wide and take a block or no block and sit between our feet. Those of us that have a block between our thighs, we can sit back, either on blocks or not on blocks. Right? Lots of options here. And then just bring the knees and the feet together, push into the top of the feet, and see if you can find that upward dog foot. Those of us that are comfortable sitting Gomukhasana, noticing whether you're on a block or not on a block, is your weight even in your butt. So a lot of us are going to sit into one butt more than the other. So adding whatever height you need so that everybody is sitting evenly into our butts. Grab onto your knees or your thighs, whatever you can. Nice big inhale to lift and lengthen, shoulders back. Maybe some of us can start to bring those feet forward if our joints are stacked. Zip your belly, find the weight even. So we have lots of options here. So Lara, if she wants to, can come forward, take one hand to one foot, other hand to the other foot, and then the chin is going to rest on the top arm. And just notice which arm's on top. Everybody else is just going to be sitting up.
Is it right arm first?
Doesn't matter. You're just going to swap them in a minute. Those of us that are sitting any other way and not coming forward, we're just going to take right arm on top, left arm on top, grab onto our thighs, lift our chest. I'm looking for a straight back here, right? Make sure I can shake my head for no, right? And then everybody is going to take the bottom arm like we're doing front call. We're going to bring it around. We're going to sweep it up and over. We're going to cross over. Think about extension, no tension, right? You're going to follow it with your gaze. Swimming arms, front crawl. Armpits, armpits, armpits. You got a ball in your armpits and the shoulder is hugging that ball, right? Keep that connection. We've got our right leg on top, Lara, yeah? Yeah. And we're holding onto our feet, right? And then just look up at me, bottom arm. Bottom arm. Bottom arm. Bottom arm. See how my armpit comes over my knee and I'm fitting it? Yeah, there you go. And then I can, yeah, hello hips, right? I thought you had open hips and then you felt this. Push in your feet like they're standing on the floor, whoever's doing it. Gaze follows. Keep the two sides of the torso even. So if you're doing it here, I want you to find really good, we don't swim like this, right? We swim. Right? Find those elbows, find those wrists, find your best ever front crawl. Open up that thoracic spine. Almost there, you guys. You're doing so good. And then let's go right arm on top of left arm. Nice big inhale to lift and lengthen. And then we're going to come forward. Whichever position we're in, we're going to come forward. We're going to uncross those legs. We're going to open up the back, so the knees. And then we're going to do the other side. After we open up the backs of the knees, doing this or doing a down dog, whatever your preference. Something that's comfy for you. I want to see ears with shoulders here, no turtlenecking. I want you to think of a hammock in the back of the neck. Where you just got it. You didn't have it, then you got it. Nice. You feel the difference, hey? So you feel how this is a boomerang hockey stick and your legs are hyperextending. So you need to bend your knees and then you need to take your shoulders back and your hip flexors back so you can't have a bend here. So look at me. So if I'm doing this, it's really not good for my neck, right? So what I want to do is bend my knees and find them straight. It's not about straightening your legs, it's about straightening your shoulders. So if you can't keep the shoulders straight and not go into a hockey stick or a boomerang, then yeah, better, you got it. And then when those 5 breaths are complete, we're going to come down onto our knees and we'll do the other side. So we've either got a block between our feet and our thighs, or we've got our knees together, feet together, tops of the feet down, left leg over right, take the feet wide. And remember, you're not committed. This is not a marriage. You can come in and out of the poses, right? Do what's best for you. Lift your ankles, push into your toes, whatever pose you're doing. Find your creases, move them to your calves. If you want to flip 1, 2, or both wrists, go for it. But again, you've got to really think crease to cap on those elbows. It's an external rotation of the upper arm, internal rotation of the lower arm. We're pulling the forearms apart. We can shake our head for no beautifully. Armpits hug shoulders and move forward. And then let's start with exhaling to curl the spine, thinking angry kitty. Inhaling, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up. Exhale to curl the spine, think angry kitty. Inhale, shoulders back, sit bones lift, gazing up. Back and forth with your breath. Inner thighs dropping a block. Outer thighs squeezing a block. Inner heels dropping a block. Outer heels squeezing a block. Stop with your cat-cows, find a neutral neck, don't turtle, make hip circles. I like to visualize a block on my sacrum and I do my best to keep that sacrum level. It's a tricky one, but think about it. Change direction with your circles. Here's our shoulders. We've got a perfect hammock in the back of our neck for a bar soap. Stopping with those circles, start with a nice straight back. Drop your ribs, take your ribs to the right, take your ribs to the sky, take your ribs to the left. Again, keeping pushing through the arms stay nice and active, and it's like we're just moving the rib cage, and we're seeing where it can go to. Never allowed to feel our knees in yoga. This is often when we go and make the wild, crazy purchase of the Manduka mat. $100 and your knees will love it forever. Lifetime warranty. So worth it. Change direction with your circles. Go counterclockwise. Oddly more challenging. A lot easier to move with time than against time. And stopping with those circles, flip your hands. Using blocks or not using blocks, we're going to come up either with our legs crossed or uncrossed. Eventually, hands are going to come onto the hips. They can stay on the blocks or they can come onto the hips, elbows pulled to one another. Now think, flesh of the butt moves away from the low back, middle of the butt moves forward. Hamstrings pull back towards the butt, hamstrings push forward. Thighs push back. Inner thighs dropping the block, outer thighs squeezing the block. Outer tricanters bring them to one another. Anal sphincter contracts, pull it up your butt like a cork. Zip your belly. Think quads moving towards the knees, backs and knees to kneecaps, ankle crease to heel. What pushes one way, something pushes the other way, so the joint hugs back onto the crease. Hip flexor to butt, butt to hip flexor, armpit to shoulder. Put a ball in there, lift that ball up, move that ball forward, shoulder hugs the ball. Sternum bug lifts and broadens, collarbones lift. Are you looking straight ahead? Can you lift your ears? Are the neck sides equal? All the way around. From here, maybe you can interlace your fingers, left hand on top of right, hand comes to the back of the skull, head pushes back. Find your elbow creases, bring the elbows forward, forehead roots forward. Forward circles. Breathing. Change direction. Try to get those hip bones equal distance from the front of the mat, even though they may never get there. Think about it. Nobody should feel their knees. Remember, you can put green foamies under your knees. You can double up your mat. You can splurge for a Manduka. I still have about 5 more for sale. And then stopping with those circles, find the elbows a shoulder's distance apart. Reach up with the forearms like you're doing a headstand. Head pushes back, forehead pushes forward. Lift back of the armpit to front of the armpit and just see where that gets to. Just find your breath here. Big, beautiful breaths. Lengthen the torso. Nice, everybody. And then when you're ready, bring those hands back down onto the floor. Blocks, no blocks. Again, your legs can be crossed or not. Both are fabulous. Tuck your toes, bring your hips back. And then when you're ready, push into a dog, but make sure you're not bamboo sticking into your armpits. So I don't want to see any boomerang armpits. I want to see straight wrists to shoulder to hip flexor, and then I can think about starting to straighten my legs. But I never fully think about straightening my legs, because the backs of the knees are moving towards the caps of the knees. Vice on the heels and then lengthen the two sides of the heels evenly. Those of us that know how to cross-reference, cross-reference. Those of us that need to rest, rest. See if you can find your natural lumbar curve here. Base of the thumb and the index root. Lots of room for the neck. Let's just go 5 more breaths here. It's easy, Lara. Take the feet wider.
Like apart?
Yeah. Away from one another.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's so nice. Then when those 5 breaths are complete, nice and slow, let's come down onto our knees and let's find our seated position. So a lot of us at this point are going to uncross and sit on heels or height. What's important here is ears over shoulders and butt is level. Some of us keep the left leg over the right, put a block or 2 between our butts and sit back, right? Feet are really active. Knees are stacked. If that's comfortable, some of us can sit on the floor. No matter what we're doing, we're trying to keep the weight even in our butts, right? So there's not too much weight on that right butt, bulging and shortening, but we find the weight even. Grab onto your knees, nice big inhale to lift the chest, shoulders back. Get a straight spine so we're not leaning forward. Get those ears over the shoulders and karate chop with those feet. Nice. So this time it's going to be left arm on top of right arm and just grabbing where you grab, but have those nice swimmer's arms. Heart center lifting, armpits lifting, and then right arm, bottom arm is going to come up and over. We're not T-Rexes, we're Olympic swimmers. We're going to reach with those arms, we're going to follow the gaze. Keep the crease moving to the cap. See if you can move your gaze with your hands. And if you're forward, it's a grab. Right? And then it's the same thing. Bottom arm pulls out, up and over, following. Other arm pulls out, up and over, following. Each time we're working towards getting the elbow crease to the floor, but the elbow cap is hugging back. So wherever you're at, it's fabulous. Armpits hugging shoulders, elbows hugging elbow crease. Obsessed with hugging. Soft hugs, 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 hugs. My 2-year-old gives the best hugs on the planet. He really does. And then let's stop with the left arm over the right. Take a little breath. Lift up nice and tall. And then release. You can bring those ankles in a little bit to roll over. Let's uncross. And either straightening out your legs one at a time, or you can come into a down dog. If you wanted to do a different variation of dog, we have so many new variations. You could do hand on the sacrum, right? Really lengthening from hip to armpit on the same side of the torso. You could do right hand back, left hand forward. One leg lifts, other leg lifts. We're going to be here for about 4 minutes, so plan your own stuff. And then if you do both sides for that, you could always do a 2-legged dog with the hand on the sacrum and then one leg lifting, which is a nice option too. When we do that one, if we're new to it, I find it's a little bit easier if you rotate the foot just a little bit, like it's pointing to half of 1 o'clock. But either way, I don't want the shoulder to move back, I don't want the shoulder to move forward, I want the shoulders and the hips to stay right in the center. Spine is straight like it's on a spit. To get both the legs and the arms to lift, you gotta really think about the joints being stable and hugging from front to back. Think about the hip flexor lifting. It's easy to do a 2-legged dog with the rotation, do it without the rotation. Do a dog, do a child's pose, whatever's a fit. So you see how this shoulder's, yeah, and then you're shortening here. Yeah, so you feel how you, that's better. One thing I would say, slower, more moderate movements. Okay, so does that make sense? Yeah. So if I tell you to do something, you do like tiny and slow, so that you can feel it and nail it, if that makes sense. Ten more breaths here to even out your sides, and then let's all meet in a child's pose. Is it the same leg or same arm or opposite? You'll try, you know it, because one's impossible and one's possible. So again, it's not memory, it's experience, it's knowledge, yeah, it's understanding. Because memory you'll never remember, but you can know it. You can own it. Then once you find your way into your child's pose, seeing if you can find a nice mantra, exhaling out what doesn't serve you, inhaling in what does. So Lara and Laura, just check this out. Shoulder and armpit does not have to move at all, right? See how it's like a complete straight line from armpit to armpit, right? So everyone's kind of doing this and letting this drop, which is fine, it's just different, right? And this is obviously more stable, and this is obviously going to give us more information. So it's like shorter. From armpit to hip, crossing, crossing. Yeah, that's better, Laura. Exhaling out what no longer serves you, inhaling in what does. Yeah, better. Did it change? Yeah, it did. Yeah. So that's even better. Yeah, it's pulling that armpit into that shoulder.
Yeah, I can feel it now.
Yeah. Just creating that connection. 10 more breaths, really sticking with your mantra for every single one of those 10 breaths. Lengthening your spine. And then when those 10 breaths are complete, we're going to come up. We're going to have our ankles, our knees, and our hips in a nice straight line. We're going to tuck our toes, and we're going to come up, and we're going to put our hands on our sacrum. Elbows pulling in, fingers rooting down for a little bit of camel. So great place to find the crease moving into the calf. Again, we all are not treated the same, and we're not all on a super cushy mat, so this is a really nice option, right? Or green foamies if your knees are sensitive. You never want to be uncomfortable. That's silly. So we're not on our low backs, we're on our butts. So our hands are literally assisting the flesh of the butt down away from the low back. We're pulling our elbows in, elbow creases are reaching back, elbows are hugging the elbow creases. Armpits lift up, armpits move forward. At no point do my hips move back. Until I can grab those heels, I just think hips forward, like my hips are on the wall. So I lean my hips into the wall, and then I just start to peel my elbows and my shoulders away from that wall. It's totally comfy for my neck. My head can go back. Get those elbows in as close to one another as you can. And then those of us that know we can easily grab our heels without our hips moving. One hand moves, other hand moves. We remember which hand moves. Keep lifting the armpits, keep lifting the chest. Sternum bug is lifting and broadening. Big, beautiful breaths. When we're done, we're going to come down. We're going to sit on our heels or on a block. Right hand's going to rest on left hand. We're going to get the shoulders over the hips. Ears over the shoulders. We're going to sit up tall. We're going to close our eyes and we're going to breathe. If we're able to sit on our heels without a crop, then it's right big toe on top of left big toe. And then we slow down our heart rate by slowing down our breath. If it's too much just in our shins, you can sit cross-legged, you can do whatever you need to do, adjusting as you need to. So we're gonna do one more camel. A lot of us are gonna do that camel, which is great, but we could try doing an upward dog foot. Those of us that really feel like that's super comfortable, if we want to try Potomac camel, then we're down here, knees and feet are hips distance apart, and we just go back and forth, really thinking about folding at the creases, right? So it's just in and out. I think we know if we're doing that, and I think we know if we're not doing that, right? All right, the rest of us are just going to think upward dog foot. So we come onto tabletop position, top of the feet down, lift the ankles, hands on the thighs, hands on the butt, elbows pull in. We're just going to do one more like this. Elbows pull in, elbows reach back, armpits lift up. And do the other version if it feels appropriate. Hip flexors forward.
Which way should my thumbs be?
The same, yeah, it's exactly the same. You grab onto your ankles, you just come up, you use your quads, you think hamstrings, move my hips forward. Yeah. It's tricky, it's hard, it's really hard. What's that? It's grabby. We don't do it. It's weird. We don't do it. And then when you're done, you're going to come down for another child's pose. Relax your shoulders. Beautiful breath. Let's just take 5 breaths here. And this is a good option too, Paul. Do the child's pose for change. And then from here, let's come up through tabletop position, knees and feet at hips distance apart, toes tucked under. We're going to take our hands to our knees, we're going to lift our knees. We're going to take our hands to our feet, we're going to lift our butt. We're going to keep our knees nice and bent, hands come onto the thighs. Really bend those knees and come up one vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. Good. Then we're going to take our 2 blocks and our sticks to the wall, and we're going to do the wall folds. So, making sure that you've got space on the wall so that you're not coming up underneath the window. Have your blocks handy, have your signature hip flexors. Make sure your feet are at hips distance apart and find that place where you can sit down. Shins are at a 90-degree angle, right? So checking here, right? Making sure that when you come up and down, that the center of the foot, the center of the knee, and the hip are in a nice straight line. There's a spot over here if anybody needs it. I think we're all good. So knees and feet are at hips distance apart, and just kind of know your habits. If your knees tend to come in, think inner thighs dropping the block. If your knees tend to go out, think outer thighs squeezing the block. And then just sit down to a place that's comfortable for you and find the shin spacing. So those of us that are used to having a pillow behind our head, we're not going to force our head back. But if you're not, if you're good to bring your head onto the floor without a green foamy, then you can get your head to the wall. Everybody's going to think shoulder heads to the wall, armpits away from the wall, armpits lift up into the shoulders. Make sure your shins are at a 90. Yeah, and then this is more the hips distance for you. Yeah. So when you come down, let's see how that block's not straight, so your toes have to come away. Shin can't go past a 90. And then you're going to go up and down, sliding your back up the wall, head at the wall. If it's comfortable for the head to be at the wall. Just go up and down, up and down. The butt doesn't go below the knees, so just stop. So you need to bring your feet to about here if you can go that low. Yeah, So the shin can't go. See what I'm looking for?
That's
I want to sort of espresso off here. I don't want it spilling forward. Better. And then you're going to come down to a place that's comfortable to hold. And it doesn't matter what that looks like for you. You're going to root the hip flexors back. You're going to root the backs and knees forward. You're going to root the ankles back. Think about all the stuff we just learned about a straight back. Elbows go to the wall, and we're going to fold over those legs. Lift your shoulder heads up. Push your butt into the wall. And then keeping that straight back, nobody's allowed to hunch. Lift up your head, your ribs, and your shoulders, and then just slide your butt up the wall a comfortable distance. Push your butt into the wall. Some of us will be able to bring our fingertips to the floor or to blocks, but I don't want hunchy mid-upper backs. Ears with shoulders. Really think of a mini bend in the knees, and occasionally some people are able to root into the heels and lift the toenails, really finding that ankle crease. But again, listen to your body. Straight back is more important. Hip flexors to wall, root your butt. Think of all the creases moving to all the calves. So find a neutral neck. There's a lot of neutral necks not on this wall. So if I was going to put here, yeah, that's a neutral neck. So that is what's a neutral neck look like. Yeah, neutral with your spine. Yeah. Let's just go 5 more breaths here. Push your butt into the wall, hip flexor to butt. And then dropping the soles of the feet, bending into those knees. Bring your hands back onto your stick and come up with that nice straight spine. Push yourself up the wall, walk your feet in, and just let everything soften a little bit. Close your eyes, take a little breath. So being honest with yourself, if that was already enough, then you keep your feet back hips distance apart. So very few cases, the 2 fists tighten the arches is hips distance, which means the center of my foot is in line with the center of my knee, which hits my hip bone, that sacroiliac crest that sticks out like a little finger. So that's a hips distance. If that's easy, then it's big toe heel touches. There's a few cases where the heels might be apart, just depending on our body type, right? We're not all the same shape. And so it's either feet and hips distance apart or feet together. We're going to come down. We're going to sit down into our imaginary chair. The shins have to be at a 90. This is not what we're looking for. We want those shins at a 90, and then we sit down into our chair, and then we're going to go up and down in our chair. So great place to notice our knees. If our feet are together, our knees are together. If that's not a thing, then our feet are apart and our knees are apart. But our knees and our feet are in alignment. Backs of the knees moving forward, kneecaps winning and pushing the legs to straight. Backs of the knees to bend the knees, kneecaps winning the pushing to straighten the legs. It's not about how deep you go. And then come down to a comfy, cozy place and just hang out. Find your elbow creases, find your armpit creases. Push your butt into forward fold. Maybe your fingers come down onto height or no height. Maybe you slide your butt up the wall. No hunchy backs, no turtlenecks. I want super neutral spine. If we can learn neutral spine, we will be so much happier. So you're going to see how this is hunching. Now think about the little old ladies at the grocery store and how you don't want your back to hunch there. Yeah, exactly. So then pull arm bones into your body, not up, in. Think of a shoulder push-up, make your arms higher, yeah. So lift your arms up to the ceiling like a shoulder push-up. There we go. Now tuck your chin a tiny bit. Now shake your head for no. You feel the difference? Before you couldn't move your neck at all.
Yeah.
Good. We want you shoulder checking at 90, so we need to learn how to work the shoulders. Big, beautiful breaths here. Are your knees knocking?
Just funny.
So you feel how we're getting that little hunchy. So straighten out your arms. It's the arms, not the head. Your spine stays neutral. And then inject your arm out. So straight, yeah. Feel how that releases that. Yeah, so now it's not hunchy and it's nice and straight. You can shake your head for no. Yeah. And then sit down into your chair. And then think about lifting your ribs and your armpits as you come up with that nice straight back. And then slide yourself up the wall. Move your things. Walk away from the wall. A little softness in the knees. And just find your breath. Big, beautiful breaths. And then from here, let's come back to our mats. We're going to come down onto the floor. So coming down however works for you. If you're able to come through a squat, come through a squat. Otherwise, getting there any which way you like. Hands behind the thighs, making a C coming down. We're going to put a block between our thighs. We're going to push into our elbows to lengthen the back rib cage away from us. We're going to bring the arms out like a T. We're going to fire up the feet, and then we're just going to roll the legs to the right. We're going to roll the legs to the left. The shoulders aren't going to move at all. If this is sensitive for our knees at all, then you can put a block underneath the outer thighs to catch yourself. Right? So if the knees are sensitive, you just move the block to the outer hip and you catch it. As we come down to the right, let the legs come down to the right to stay down to the right. Keep the feet nice and active, root into your arms. Root your arms away from your shoulders. And then think about that work we've been doing with Superman and airplane arms. Find your airplane arms. Fingers are active, elbow creases are heavy, rooting into the calf. The calf is touching the floor. Armpits lift up into the shoulders, neck is long, and then maybe we can turn the gaze to look towards the left hand. I'm just breathing here. Big, beautiful breaths. Feet are nice and active. When the gaze comes back to center, push into your arms, lift those legs, bring your legs down to the other side. Again, if it pulls into your knees or your back, you take a block to that outer hip to support it. Everybody's shoulders are down. We think of those airplane arms, active wrists, elbows, fingers, armpits, and then we turn and look the other way. Big, beautiful breaths. Think of all of those creases moving to all of those caps in our joints. Finding the tug of war between the back of the knee and the hip flexor, back of the knee and the ankle, wrist in the armpit, wrist in the elbow, armpit in the elbow, armpit in the hip flexor. Really find those tug of wars. Five more breaths here. breaths are complete, gaze comes back to center. Fire up your legs, fire up your feet, bring those legs up. Remove your block, and then just give these legs a nice hug. Relax your shoulders. Maybe just rocking, maybe pulsing, maybe going for a full wind remover. Take a few more breaths and then swap up your crossing. And then when you feel ready, allowing yourself to come into shavasana one leg at a time. Remembering shavasana is an important pose, so taking the time to find that pose. Find your neutral pelvis. Lengthen your back rib cage away from that neutral pelvis. Find nice, relaxed, open shoulders, extension, no tension. Make sure it's comfortable to shake your head for no. And then one at a time, straightening out your legs, either over a bolster or not. And then one last time, root the arms, lift the skin of the armpits, and then just let everything relax. If you were to open your eyes, are you looking to the right? Are you looking to the left? Big heavy sandbags on your shoulders, let that all relax. And just be as still as you can be. So don't move the other one, I just want you to experience it because sometimes if we really feel it, then we're like, we remember it. You feel the difference how this shoulder feels compared to that one and you see, oh right, that makes sense. I want that feeling. When you're ready, slowly, gently, beginning to wake up your body from the inside by deepening your breath. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. With a nice big inhale, stretch your arms. Exhale to let your arms fall down heavy as you start to bend your knees and walk your feet towards your seat. With an exhale, let's roll out to the right. Nice inhale and arm strength to push ourselves up. Let's come to a comfortable seated position. Hands coming into Namaskara. Let's end with a nice big group Om before we dedicate the merit of our practice. May we use this class to be mindful of the African proverb, when death finds you, may it find you alive. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your practice. Namaste.
Namaste.